Today's show is brought to you by HelloFresh. Please visit HelloFresh.com and use the promo code TWD to save $35 off your first week of deliveries. Welcome to Watching Dead, the officially unofficial podcast for The Walking Dead on AMC. I'm Jim.
I'm Aaron.
And today we're talking about Season 7, Episode 1, called The Day Will Come When You Won't Be. When You Will Not Be?
When You Won't Be.
When You Won't Be. For people who don't know, didn't remember this from 7 years ago, that's a quote from Dr. Jenner, way back in the day when Rick thanks him for taking the bullet on the old CNC. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's a music factory.
Yeah,
they barely escaped from.
When they barely escaped from the CNC Music Factory show. He took the bullet on that one, and Rick told him, thank you very much. He said, I'm grateful. He said, and Jenner says the day will come when you won't be.
Yeah, I actually liked the callback.
Yeah. It feels like an appropriate time for that.
Yeah, and it's just like, yes, it's 6 years ago, but they also know that the really obsessive fans will make that connection. And I didn't, but that was like one of the top things on Reddit, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What'd you think of the episode?
I thought it was mostly good. Mostly good. Now, it can't wash away the sins of the finale last season. I think that hurt it a lot. And this maybe needed to be, or at least part of this episode needed to be in the finale from last season. But, I'm not super angry about that anymore. I've had 6 months to cool off on that. The biggest problem was not only did I cool off on my outrage, but I cooled off on my emotions for these characters in general. And then they had to spend 20 minutes building me back up. And I don't think it was nearly as powerful as the hour and a half they spent last season getting us to that stage and then just not fulfilling what we wanted.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of disagree because I thought this was an A-plus episode, and I think this had to be an A-plus episode because I think there was a lot of people really sharpening their knives and their hatchets ready for The Walking Dead. And
yeah.
Yes, I definitely agree. It wasn't as emotionally powerful. But having said that, it might be because I'm emotionally and mentally exhausted from the con we just got back from. Mm-hmm. But I found myself tearing up at parts at the end, especially seeing Fantasy Glenn bouncing his baby boy on his knee, talking to Abraham at the Mr. Robot style Thanksgiving dinner.
Right.
I thought there's a lot of stuff like the Abraham Isaac sacrifice choice, that biblical choice that Negan made Rick do at the end with Carl's arm was really powerful, and I was really, really afraid because I do believe the AMC would absolutely, or the Gimple and Kirkman would absolutely cut off Carl's arm. So there's a lot of suspense there.
Yeah, I mean, that's the part that made it mostly good, like I said.
But
I think the deaths for me were almost completely ineffectual. I thought,
oh man,
I thought they really just wasted the moment on those two deaths. And then the thing that did get me, like you said, is the Carl and Rick stuff. I mean, that had me on the edge of my seat. Like, will they, won't they?
Right.
And the fact that they didn't wait 6 months to tell me whether or not they would made it really pay off.
Well, I mean, yeah, and I don't want to harp on this point too much. I thought the deaths were really effective. The fact that they went with the double deaths, I thought was effective. Although, we did speculate that was probably the most likely outcome, but the fact that they did it, and I wonder if they have done the finale last year, if they would have just gone with the Glenn, because I know that's one of Kirkman's regrets, the fact that, he in the comics, Abraham dies shortly before he dies in the TV series, and I know Kirkman said on a couple occasions that he did regret that he killed the one soldier off, before he entered this this military kind of arc where Rick led this campaign, and then he runs right up against the wall of Negan. But I thought those were effective despite the wait, but I just kept thinking at the end, as moved as I was and as awesome as this was, I was just thinking like, man, what would this show be like? What would the audience be like? What would the fans be like if they had made this episode the finale?
Right.
And then also you just roll that back into like, what if they had done all, like all the missteps The Walking Dead has taken over the years? Like if this show had rolled up to this point, if you take off all those missteps, I mean, this show could have been talked about in the same hushed tones that Breaking Bad and Game of Thrones and Mad Men and all the others are talked about. And people say, oh, that's stupid. I really don't think so. This show's potential and its ceiling was that high. And also, I usually tell people to settle down when they start talking this way. I kind of think there's an outside chance there might be some Emmy talk for Andrew Lincoln and Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
There's some pretty strong contenders out there.
Because with the Emmys doing the one episode submission, this is a powerful episode for them both. And like it's like what Andrew Lincoln does with his snot bubbles and his weeping, I felt was very, very genuine. And Jeffrey Dean Morgan is just fucking amazing as Negan.
Yeah, he is.
The way he knows when to be quiet, the way like I don't miss a single fuck out of Negan's speech. Because it's still profane, it's still irreverent, it's still kind of funny, even though it's terrible.
Yeah.
I thought this episode is exactly what they had to do to get the fan base to settle down in for the rest of the season. It's a damn shame that they couldn't have put this superlative episode on a nice foundation instead of kind of like playing out of a sand trap.
Yeah. I don't know how much more we want to say about the way that they handled this decision in the premiere and the finale.
Yeah.
But we do have a recap to get into if you want to start there.
Hey, right before we get into recap, I wanted to mention, because, it's been a year since, well, not a year, but since last season, since we talked to a lot of you, we're starting a new show that we're really excited about. It's HBO's Westworld. It's another Sunday night show. It's just been so far really stellar, and we're getting a really great reaction. So I feel it's also up a lot of Walking Dead people's alley. There's a lot of it's great looking, a lot of violence, a lot of gruesome stuff happening.
Have to get used to some nudity.
There is some nudity, and they do drop the F words because this is HBO, but there's also a lot of interesting existential questions about what it means to be a human and what it means to be conscious and what ethics and morality look like in this age of dawning artificial intelligence. So if
far, no episodes titled "Here's Not Here."
So if you're looking for something to kind of round out your Sunday night television watching experience, give Westworld a chance and check out our show, Watching Westworld. So when they opened up with the 3-minute preview that we'd already seen, I was kind of scared that because I thought that would have, and so we're launching right into recap. So we hear Rick, he's splashed with blood. He says, "I'm going to kill you." Negan leans in and real quiet. What? I didn't quite catch that. Thought this scene was incredible. And Rick says, not today, not tomorrow, but soon and for the rest of your life. And there's this, and Negan confiscates his hatchet and drags him off to the RV and says he's going to be back with Rick, and he may or may not kill them all. I thought that was going to be after the credits, that we would open up with the actual killing that we've been waiting for so long. And I was actually kind of already building up some outrage that they were going to stretch this out even further.
Well, they had a problem on their hands.
Yes.
Because like I said, all of that emotion is gone after 6 months, right? You're not in this frenzied state. You're not worried about these characters. You're just getting back into the swing. So they have to give you some time to do that.
Back in the swing.
And what, you didn't like my joke? But yeah, they had to give you some time, so they needed some build up, and I think that was the right move. It still didn't land quite as effectively as for me as it would have if they had done it last season.
Midway through the RV sequence with the hatchet on the roof, I started to appreciate that exactly. That's what they were doing. They were digging them. They're hacking their way out of the sand trap, and they needed to do that.
Right now. I can tell you if they had waited much longer, I would have been complaining again. They did hit a good balance of build up versus prolonging the inevitable,
Right. So Negan goes into the RV, throws Rick to the ground, buries the axe on the table, and says, "Let's go for a ride." struggles to start the RV because, of course, Dale's not there.
Right. I love that all the RVs in this world are just pieces of shit.
Sure.
That's true of all television, though.
Yeah. And Negan is inviting Rick to essentially try another round of resistance. And he invites him. He's looking in rearview mirrors like, this is your best shot. Mm-hmm. Back's turned. Of course, Rick takes the bat, and instantly Negan turns on him with a semi-automatic rifle of some sort. Hits him in the stomach, and then uses the flat head of the axe to concuss the shit out of him. Mm-hmm. Like, I thought they really sold that impact and how disorientated Rick was with the rest of the scene. And he says, think about, there's a new dawn breaking. Think about what's happened and what can still happen, and they drive off. This next scene where they're driving through the fog, and Negan is splattering walkers on the windshield.
How is it so foggy? How is it so... And if it is so foggy, how is he driving so fast?
Because he just doesn't give... he doesn't give a fuck. Rule of cool, I'm going to allow this because I thought the visuals were really fucking cool.
I thought he had, magic busted up and he was driving through the clouds or something. Like Magic School busted. Or,
sure.
he had shrunk down and was driving through a smoker's lungs.
Sure. I don't know. I guess because I'm from the Midwest, and I know you don't get up as early as I do, but it's not infrequent that you get fog in the morning, especially in the fall, where it kind of feel we are. I actually have no fucking clue. I have no fucking clue what time of year we are, but it feels like the fall. So I'm gonna say it's the fall.
I think it's fall. Yeah.
All right. But I thought it was good. It was a good character building moment. It was just visually interesting, and he's laughing. Oh, remind you of someone when their heads get exploded. And there's also this kind of effective thing where what I assumed were the survivors, but it's actually Rick recollecting all the memories he has of these people because he's doing this thing. He's thinking about what can still happen. And we see Rosita and Glenn and some memories of them.
Which I thought they actually should have used as a preview for this season. That 3-minute clip that they released was good.
Also they had the Eeny Meeny, which I thought was pretty effective.
Oh, right.
Where
But they didn't, show everybody getting bashed. I thought they should have showed them all getting bashed.
Yeah. Especially since they had the footage, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
they were going to film it for this anyway.
I also thought it was pretty ingenious, the fact that they went and filmed the deaths of everyone just to confound the spoiler hounds. Now, I think it turns out that there's a cup that the Spoiling Dead fans probably had it 100% right, and that's why AMC cease and desisted them preemptively.
Yeah.
But still, nice touch.
I also think Rick probably could have got the jump on Negan while he was driving.
I do, but I think you got to remember that he had just gotten bashed over the head with a fucking hatchet,
right?
And I think his bell was fucking rung.
And the other thing is, think about what could happen. And let's say he does kill Negan here, right? And he drives back into that ring of dudes with the RV and says, "I killed your leader."
Right.
Well, they're still gonna all die.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing. I think this episode, I was doing the whole time. I was thinking, at what point do you break?
Right.
Because you can see, there's a scene especially where during the Eeny, Meeny, Miny scene where they just really tight on Lincoln's face, and you can see him as Rick just trying to calculate the angles. We've seen him bite a man's throat out. We've seen him have his soldiers get the jump on people. We've seen him always come through the odds, and his mind is racing to try to see where the angle is. Where is his play? Yeah. And there was nothing.
Just too much force. Yeah.
And I think you had that plus the fact that his head is probably from the axe swing. And I don't think he could. Yeah, that's probably the best shot he had. But then where does he get him? So
yeah, where does he go from there?
Right. So he gives this little speech when he gets to where he's going, and he says, "You are mine. All your people are mine. This axe is mine." And I first thought he threw it out the door, and I was about to call some bullshit on the physics, but on further review, it seems pretty clear that they were they showed Negan throwing it up on the roof.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And he says, "Go out there and get the axe," and they establish that they're in a piss pot full of walkers
and fog.
And he throws Rick out the fucking door, and we have we see that so there's more memories of Sasha, Eugene, and Aaron, and Abraham, and Maggie, and Daryl, and we're back at the giant pile of logs that the Saviors had formed into a barricade last season, and it looks like it's been exploded.
All right. Yeah.
I'm not as sure. I'm not as sure exactly what the point of that was. Whether there was a bunch of walkers in that pen and they blew it open, or maybe that the giant explosion brought all the walkers to, and the resulting fire brought all the walkers there. But regardless, Rick fights his way to the top of the RV. Sees the guy that was hung for his disobedience last year. That paid off pretty handsomely, I thought.
Yeah, that was cool. It's going to continue to pay off in the next few scenes.
Yep, and again, Rick, they really show him remembering his people and thinking about Michonne, the people that are most important to him. They go back and revisit the eeny, meeny, miny scene, and it's just, the point of this is how in control Negan is, right? That Rick is trying to figure out an angle and he can't. He selects Abraham. And what I thought was interesting is, do you think that Abraham was a random selection, or do you think that was an intentional, calculated move by Negan? Because in the comic books, they made it pretty clear that he was just eeny, meeny, miny, mo. But this, he skipped around, he reversed, he skipped a whole bunch of words, and as the bat was falling in front of everybody was focusing on the bat and shitting their pants. Abraham was locked in,
right? And
I wonder if Negan's this is the one guy who is going to be. There's no way I can break him. Rick has got his son. I can apply some pressure to, but Abraham is going to spit in my face and never compromise.
But you got Sasha. He
but
can apply pressure
does he know
there.
That?
No, of course Negan wouldn't know that.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. Ultimately, I guess it doesn't matter.
Right.
Now that he's dead.
No. I just thought it's I was trying to glean something from the personality. I thought it was a strategic move.
He was certainly the most defiant, even more so than Daryl, I'd say. Yeah.
And when I remember, I know we made fun of Abraham flashing a peace sign to Sasha, but it did pay off a bit in this episode because as Negan made his selection, Abraham flashed it to her one last time to kind of say, I don't know, I'm accepting of this, or everything's going to be okay.
Suck my nuts.
Yeah, and Abraham,
pretty good.
Abraham died like he lived, spouting AMC safe versions of adult language.
Oh yeah, you couldn't have Abraham go out without one.
Right. And
he lived like he died.
He did.
He died like he lived, whatever it is.
Mother dick. He mother dick to the end. And Negan beats the complete shit out of him.
Yeah.
And Daryl gets pissed off when he starts taunting Rosita and takes a swing at him, and Negan shuts all this shit down. Dwight offers to kill him with his own crossbow. I was not afraid for Daryl. Once Abraham was selected, I thought, nope, Daryl's going to be safe. And Negan says, nope, that's not how it works. Someone else has got to be punished. And then he just beats Glenn to death. And Jesus Christ, this scene is straight out of the comics, and it is fucking brutal.
Yep. Your eyeball just pops out, and it is gross as shit.
Yeah, it
was, man.
It and I felt bad. There's very few times, I guess I got desensitized to the gore, but the fact that I kind of care about Glenn and Maggie, even though they've kind of jerked us around. I'm surprised at how much I was affected with the death of Glenn, even though they had just jerked us around the dumpster. And there's a lot of jokes on some of the discussion threads about, you think Glenn's hiding under the bat? Was he able to roll under the RV?
Rolled under his own eyeball.
Did Morgan swoop in and swap his body out with a walker before Negan got the swing on him? But
maybe.
Yeah, he just beats the shit, and I liked how they keyed on Daryl and Maggie's reaction, not just Maggie, or not just Maggie, but also Daryl, because it's arguable that this is kind of Daryl's fault.
Well,
it's not
I don't even think it's arguable.
Yeah.
I don't think you can argue against it.
And one of the reasons this is an A+ episode is because it sets up some genuine drama, like Daryl being conscripted into Negan's army. And he's got so much fucking leverage. We know how emotionally kind of damaged and vulnerable Daryl is anyway, and how he can easily get into kind of don't give a fuck mercenary mode if when he got with the Claimers. And here he's going to be just stewing in this pot full of guilt and Negan brainwashing and God, I'm really interested to see where they go with this.
And from the other side of it too. I mean, our group, the survivors, have to kind of capitulate to Negan here because they've got Daryl, and he threatens Daryl's parts. He's gonna start chopping if Rick doesn't give him what he wants. So
yeah, it's a really neat trap that they've
there
laid
might
for the heroes here.
What if there's like another governor-style raid thing where they try and go in after Daryl to save him?
I mean, the thing
they've
is,
done this once,
and this I felt like the finale last year established a fact, and Rick reiterates it that Negan had an army. They just severely misunderestimated.
Right.
They didn't think that underestimated him. They didn't think that there could be an apocalyptic group of badasses as big as them and well organized as them, because they took it as a matter of faith that anyone that could be as well organized as them would have the same kind of esprit de corps, the same kind of morals and values, because they'd seen so many other selfish, tyrannical regimes tear themselves apart from the inside.
right?
But they didn't know that there was a leader like Negan out there. And, that's the brilliant part of this arc of the series, is that it's all about, Rick finally has met his match, and what the fuck is he going to do?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Obviously, Negan is willing to kill and intimidate and lead with fear. I don't know if he's going to bring anything else to the table, but he seems to be a saner version of the governor,
Which is
and a more malicious version of the governor too. Because
Right.
the governor, on the face of it, if he wasn't crazy, might have actually had a good thing going in Woodbury.
Sure.
I mean, if he wasn't killing his own people,
Right.
the other people in the town were happy.
Yeah, Matt. So like Negan, and that's the thing. Like, yes, Negan is brutal, but also, if we take him at his word here, that he honors his word, and he's if you work for him and you do good work. I mean, we haven't really seen what kind of suffering. We've heard from the hilltop that there's some people that grumble about that he takes too much and whatnot. But on the other hand, the hilltop is effective, is functioning. No one was starving. I think there's a question of like maybe Negan's the type of guy that you need in this world. Like, I wouldn't fucking vote for him,
Right.
but he wouldn't ask for my vote.
Well, no, definitely not.
And also, was this the road that Rick was heading down?
I don't know.
Because
if
kind
Alexandria doesn't get blown to pieces
Yeah, but
by walkers.
think about the way they treated the hilltop. Like, I mean, I'm not saying that he's exactly the same as Negan, but him and Maggie essentially extorted them. It's a mafia-style protection ring that they had established.
That's true.
And how much different is what Negan is offering than Rick?
Well, I don't know what Negan is offering. Negan is demanding tribute so far. I don't know what he actually gives the hilltop.
Right.
Because it didn't seem like he gave them anything. He just took 50% of everything they had.
I mean, I guess he protects them from people like himself. He protects them from
suppose.
walkers. Like, he also just doesn't I have an army big enough that I can just destroy you guys, but I'd rather have you earning things for me. I'd rather have you providing for me. I mean, like I said, it's a straight up mafia style extortion ring.
Oh yeah.
But it's also kind of what, I guess Rick was trying to set up a kinder, gentler one. Would he have succeeded? I don't know. Anyway, so Rick is in a bad way. We're back in the present, and he is trying to get this axe, and he's fought his way on top of the RV, and he's been laying there thinking about his fate for a while. And Negan's getting impatient, and he starts shooting up the RV, and Rick is forced to jump onto the hanging zombie, and he's not exactly rocking a hard place. It's more like a crowd of teeth and a toothy place. He's got the one zombie swinging from the chain trying to bite down. He's got a whole horde of zombies trying to bite up. And Negan opens up the rear window and starts shooting the zombies. He's like kind of giving a little level playing field. In the confusion, Rick loses the axe, the hatchet somewhere in the woods. Negan, again, clears the crowd a bit, says the clock's ticking. Think about what you have to lose. Rick then climbs into or crawls through the forest, finds the axe, almost gets bit by the swinging zombie's head, because by this time I forgot to mention that his weight had pulled the head right off of that zombie.
Yep. Pretty disgusting. Pretty cool.
He tries to fight his way to the door, but the door is locked because Negan is that kind of asshole. And he's having these final thoughts of his people being beat to death by Negan's bat swimming through his head as Negan opens the door and assists him one last time and lets him in and says, "Attaboy." They have another long monologue where Negan says, "I know it's hard for you, that you've been this," he calls him king shit for so long, and now you just got neutered in front of your son, but you can still lead a nice, productive life producing for me. And he cleans off his hatchet and gives it back to Rick.
So real quick, before Rick gets it back into the RV, he has an encounter with a couple of zombies. First of all, we were at Rocket City NerdCon this weekend, and we talked with Chris Harrison, who
Harrelson. Like Woody.
Yes, is one of the featured zombies in The Walking Dead. He's played a whole bunch of them. He plays one in this episode. And
Two. He told me he played 2 featured zombies in this episode.
I thought it was one in the first 2 episodes.
Oh,
each,
maybe that's right. But
he said he's underneath Rick when he's swinging from that zombie and he's getting kicked.
Oh, okay. Because he did when I was
there.
talking to him. I said, "I bet I can pick now that I've met you in your physicality. I bet I can pick it out." He's like, "Good luck," because with the fog and confusion and all that stuff, I don't know.
And then there's the grossest zombie maybe that I've seen yet, which is where Rick grabs the one by the neck and it just bubbles out this disgusting green ooze.
The pus bubble, the boil, pus boil zombie.
And it's so disgusting that Rick's got to he looks down at his hand and shakes off the goo.
Sure.
And
a man fighting for his life has the moment to be grossed out by what he just stuck his hand in.
Right, that's pretty gross.
Pretty fucking, especially this man.
Yeah.
I thought Rick's face when he accepts the axe was just beautiful, and I'm thinking, because this was a long episode, and because I was watching it on a DVR, and I was kind of fast forwarding through the commercials.
45 minutes on Amazon.
Was it? I thought it was like an hour and a half. Actual runtime.
No,
was
God,
it?
no.
Okay. I was fast forwarding, and I was wondering, I was like, man.
Unless I didn't watch half of it.
I wonder. Well, we're about to say this isn't the end of the episode.
No.
I was wondering if Negan was going to pick up on the fact that Rick really hasn't learned his lesson. 2 people in, Rick is still plotting murder and deception and rebellion in his eyes. So Rick's back. He is being drugged from the RV, and I thought it was also the physicality of his performances. Rick is trying to get back to his, up to his feet the entire time. He wants to walk back to his people to show them that he is not unbent, and he's not unbent. He is actually unbent, unbowed, unbroken, much like the Dornish people. And he says, "Do you know what this trip is about? I wanted you to understand who's in charge, but you're still looking at me like I shit in your scrambled eggs." And he says, "Do I give you another chance?" And Rick says, "Yes, you should." So he grabs Carl out of the crowd. It has all of his men point guns at the rest of the people's heads, belts Carl's arm, calls for a pin, marks a line on it, and tells Rick, "Right here, right now, cut off your son's left arm.
Make it like a salami slice.
Leave it.
Because we're going to fold it over and maybe he'll live."
And I mean, I'm going through this really quickly because I know we probably have lots of feedback. I want to leave time for it, but just the performance that Jeffrey Dean Morgan's given on Negan is just amazing because he's like, I know this is going to take a while for you to process. I'm not going to do the movie villain cliche of just like you do it now, but then also you're not talking your way out of it. This is going to happen, and Michonne tries to bargain for his life, and Negan says, "Yeah, I know, I've got your attention. It's this guy I'm worried about."
Right.
And then Rick tries to bargain. He tries to plead. He got the snot bubble coming out of his nose. And then that's when Negan knows he has him, and he's about to, he realizes there's no way out. He raises the axe, and then Negan, kind of like a Jehovah in the Old Testament, stops Abraham from sacrificing Isaac and saying, "All right, I got you. This is the look. The snot bubble is what I wanted to see. I wanted to see utter despair. That I've broken you, and that we've all come together." And he's kind of tries to do this oddly inspirational thing, like, it's a new day, and we've made some progress, and I'm taking Daryl as kind of a hostage/soldier. Lays out that if you betray him, I'm going to cut pieces of him and mail him to your doorstep, or better yet, call you back to my base and have you do it. And he says, I'll be back in 1 week for a first offering, and throws Rick his hatchet and says, ta-ta.
Mm-hmm.
Anything you want to talk about in this?
I don't know. Negan's an interesting character to me because, like, you think, okay, how did he build the army that he's built, right? I mean, a guy like this, he either has been extremely lucky in that every group he's found has been smaller than the group he currently has,
which I buy.
The army he currently has. Well, I don't mean currently, but like at every step of the road, right? Like, so Negan's a dude, and he's out on the road, and he finds a couple of other dudes who are like-minded, and then they run across one other person, and he can intimidate and brutalize them into helping him, to being his follower. So and then he gradually like builds this thing, mm-hmm. or he started out with a big army, which is possible, I suppose.
Yeah, I feel like there's, this is kind of like the moon formation hypothesis, like no one's exactly sure, but we can come up with some educated guesses, right? Because I thought about this too, and I'm wondering, I could see two ways. I could see Negan having like a core group of guys, and they're like these post-apocalyptic badasses, and say they met a group like the Claimers.
Right.
And he's able to take out Joe, and he just gets lucky that one time. And the Claimers probably like, well, shit, this guy's fucking crazier than Joe was, and he's going to let us rape and pillage, so let's follow him. Now, like, he becomes a snowball. The other way I thought it might go is, like, say that he was already in a large kind of group of marauders, and he thought, he saw that, like, he was with a guy like Joe, or maybe like the Wolves, where their goals were just kind of stupid and silly, and he had the idea that, he's, instead of just mindlessly raping and pillaging, we're going to find we're the Wolves, we're going to find the sheep, and we're just going to fucking fleece them. And we're going to come back, and we're just going to keep shearing and keep. Well, why shear him once? Why kill him and shear him once when you can just shear him again and again and again? And that was kind of the brilliant idea that he had to kind of take that group over and refocus it.
Right. It just makes me wonder, like, if Negan at some stage when he didn't have a huge army potentially had come across like a governor type guy, well, then he'd have a real fight on his hands, right? He wouldn't just be able to overpower them and force them to do his bidding. He'd actually have to put up a fight.
It does seem... So I feel like that's the thing about Negan that I've never... And why I think Negan is the best villain The Walking Dead's had to this point, is that he does seem like he's got layers. He's got different gears. He's not exactly a psychopath. He's doing these things, these psychological things, for an effect and for an impact. And he knows that he's got different carrots and different sticks for different people. And, like... The flashback to the governor's backstory I thought was dumb and pointless. I actually could use a 3 or 4 episode flashback to Negan's rise to power, because I think that would be interesting.
I think so,
because he's more impressive, he's more intimidating, he's more calculating. I would love to know exactly how this guy came to power.
Or maybe he's changed over the years. Maybe he started out as a guy who was gathering people who just wanted to live together peacefully. And over the years, he's realized that's not enough, and now fear is the way that he rules.
And I'd also like to see how they flesh him out, to see if there's going to... Because I stopped rereading. I was, up until about 2 seasons ago, rereading the arcs right before we do the series, and it just was driving me crazy, because they just make these small alterations, and it bugged me. So I haven't actually read Negan's arc in probably 5 years. But I wonder how they're going to flesh him out. Like, does Negan in his private moments? And I wonder if that's why Daryl's going with him, because we get a true POV character in his camp. I wonder if he sees this as kind of... if everybody was like the Ricks of the world, or if everybody's like the Joes or the Governors, humanity would die out. Like, I am the leader that the world needs to reboot, because he's kind of rebooting civilization. He's this warlord that is protecting these pockets of civilization and giving them the leadership that they need. And, they're not... Because look at, like, what happened at the prison. Look at what happened at Woodbury. Look at what happened at the Slabtown Hospital. Look what happened to Alexandria. Like, that shit kind of threatens to tear itself apart because of weak, ineffectual leadership. And I am the strong leader that is going to make sure that the humanity doesn't die out.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that might be what you need in the apocalyptic world.
And also, I think, maybe the other thing we're supposed to understand is that Negan's backstory is essentially Rick's backstory. It's just one he had, maybe a little bit more loss or maybe a little bit more cynical He didn't have the thing where he could, that he never lost the hope that we could have everybody sitting around a supper table in old age and celebrating Thanksgiving.
Never ran into a Deanna.
Yeah.
Or anybody like that.
He didn't have the crucial barley equals intellect equation.
Right.
That would allow you to reboot civilization in a kinder, gentler way. So then pretty much all we have left is reactions. We get a lot of extended Emmy takes for people trying to come to grips with this.
Can I say I don't think I like Lauren Cohan's performance here?
Okay. Explain.
It just... There's something about it I just didn't feel.
She's doing a
lot.
She's trying to portray a pregnant woman.
A lot.
She's trying to portray a pregnant woman who's on death's door. She's trying to portray someone who is, because if Daryl's most to blame for Glenn's death, I think that what she's done that's kind of interesting here is, or what they did last season is interesting, is that Maggie was the one who kind of was the godfather. She's the one that made this deal with the Hilltop in the first place. I will take care of the saviors in return for, you providing us the good stuff.
And they're on the road because of her.
road because of her.
Yeah.
I mean, in the micro and macro, she is kind of the most to blame for what is happening right now.
I'm not saying it was an easy performance to pull off, or that she flopped. I'm just saying there was something about it I just didn't connect with.
I think it's on her, the director, because I will say that we have got a body of evidence where there has been occasions that we have not been exactly satisfied. Now, we've made a lot of excuses, like Beth's death. What the fuck do you do?
Right.
They kind of fucked up the whole plot line, and they fucked up the whole. They never really had Maggie worrying about her, and then I
never had a problem with her performance there. I liked her performance. I just didn't think it was the right time.
And it didn't.
I felt like it came way too late.
It was lacking the foundation
unearned.
it needed. Yeah. So I guess we could have a discussion about whether maybe she's just not as good as we wanted her to be.
I don't know.
Do we always have a crush on Maggie, and we were giving her passes on some of these questionable acting choices? I honestly don't know where I stand with her.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I definitely always had a crush on Maggie, but
sure. Well, who didn't?
I hope that didn't cloud my judgment too much.
Well, it's happened to better men than you. It's happened
true.
to better men than you. But I think you're right. I mean, there was a lot going on, and I think that actually the ensemble cast kind of helped her for me because she's wanting to do this thing. She's wanting to not she's having this overreaction to this stimulus, and she wants to go her own path so she can not be responsible for anyone else's death, and she wants to take care of Glenn. And I thought that Aaron and Rick make the case that you need to do this yourself. Well, we need to help you. Mm-hmm. And there's more of us than there are of you.
Yeah, and I thought, Andrew Lincoln just destroys. He chews up this episode and shits it out. Not in a bad way. I mean,
that's the thing.
In the best way possible.
Like him and Jeffrey Dean Morgan are playing King of the Hill, and everybody else just got pushed to the bottom.
Right. It's tough to play opposite those two guys in this episode because, man, they nail it.
Yep.
I did feel like they put an appropriate amount of sorrow into Sasha. It was interesting because Rosita actually felt it the most, which makes a lot of sense because, she loved Abraham, and Sasha is just kind of getting to know Abraham, in as much as they've had a few episodes together and a road trip and a peace sign or two.
Right.
They weren't super connected, right? It was always Abraham kind of pushing this thing on her, and she started to come around to it, but I don't feel like they were madly in love like Rosita was with Abraham. So her being not as broken up as Rosita, but still, bummed out, really felt true.
And asserting that Abraham, almost I came away just super fucking impressed with Rosita. Yeah. She has been such an adult and so mature about this whole thing that because she could easily Sasha essentially asserted this is what Abraham would have wanted for me to have him. And Rosita, you could see that that was a hard thing for her to swallow. But like I said, goddamn, and Rosita's becoming one of my favorites. She is a fucking rock, man.
I did like the moment where they both kind of have their hand on Abraham's body, on each other's hands too, and they pull away and lift him up, but. Yeah, that was a pretty good moment for them.
What did you think about the imaginary Thanksgiving dinner? Because that's where it actually
felt
finally.
I
felt.
I don't know.
I felt lumps in my throat, but when they focused on Glenn and his son, and then him and Abraham kind of sitting and like smiling at each other, and they were both happy, and that's not going to happen. Like I even turned to Cecily and said, I can't fucking believe this show is doing this to me. This show, it's not fair. This show didn't earn this. This show has not. This is taking advantage of my weakened state and my sentimentality for father and son relationships.
Yep.
And
So it was strange to me because Morgan and his wife were there. His wife, who Rick knows is dead and could never have had a future with Morgan.
You know who wasn't there? T-Dog wasn't fucking there.
Oh, seriously?
Right. Like that's
I
the
didn't
thing.
see like the
well,
end of the
who
table.
knows? Maybe there was
camera,
a table going off into infinity.
There's
and
the
we didn't
kids'
see
table.
that.
Is there like
T-Dog's at the kids' table going,
what's
what
her name?
the
Lizzie
fuck?
and Mika and T-Dog's over at that table.
Yeah, like just staring daggers. And I thought that's the thing. It's like, man, if you're going to go a fantasy sequence, and I guess it's probably scheduling and can you get these guys back and all that stuff. But if you're going to do a fantasy sequence and include dead people, then maybe
no Dale. Was Dale there?
No, there's no way they're going to get
Dale. He's not coming back.
No, he'll come back. If Darabont was at the table, he'd come back.
Right. No Shane, I imagine.
No.
Rick probably wouldn't want to see Shane there.
No, I mean I get it. Like, you know, it's. I'm being mostly an asshole with that, but I thought it would have been a pure thing if nobody that couldn't have been there, absent the decisions made that day and the actions that day, would have been there. But
yeah,
I thought they muddied the water a little bit with Morgan's wife.
Yeah, that was weird.
And then there was an odd scene of the lone zombie, which I thought they were trying to make the point of just, you know, if you haven't been paying attention, zombies aren't the main attraction anymore. Mm-hmm. They are not the main threat. They're just kind of sideshows. But then they had the interesting choices as Rick pulls away, having it just fall to the ground to lick up the blood.
Yeah.
The fresh blood on the ground. What, if anything, were they trying to say with that?
I really couldn't tell you. I didn't get it, other than maybe just like, hey, we need a little bit of zombie action at the end here.
I wonder if also they were like, you know, these were the... I'm kind of surprised they didn't bring back the Jenner scene at the end. Because I wonder, like, if Rick was thinking, I wish the zombies are the ones to have it easy. Because they just walk and kill, and they're not emotionally affected, and they do what they need to survive, and they don't have to feel anything. And I have all this pain. Like, why doesn't Rick just put a gun in his mouth and pull the trigger at this point?
Carl, I guess.
Probably, knowing the fact that might actually piss Negan off him enough that he would go kill everybody. I mean... Maybe. I feel like... So what is Negan's weakness? I feel like Negan's weakness is the fact that he's a businessman. He is, you know, yes, he's ruthless, yes, he's cruel, but he's got some calculations that he doesn't want to kill everything in Alexandria. Because his crew needs... They need the food, they need the medical supplies, they need the ammunition, they need the stuff that these people find and produce to survive. Mm-hmm. And if he kills all of the settlements, then he doesn't, you know, then his men will have to, like you said, you know, you need a right-hand man because if you don't, you got to do too much work.
Right.
So I wonder if that's going to be his weakness, the fact that Rick is going to decide that, you know, there are a few things he can get away with just because Negan isn't willing to do away with them.
Yeah, he was pretty easily able, or Maggie had a big hand in this, but they were pretty easily able to convince the Hilltop to turn to their side, right? If they could do that for more and more of Negan's colonies, right. I assume there are more, maybe that would erode his power enough that, you know, and he wouldn't be able to take them out, like you said, because he needs the supplies. That might actually gain him some leverage.
What do you think of Maggie's initial reaction that they need to go and get people and get everybody ready to go kill? I mean, was that...
It's anger. I mean, I understand the mentality, the sentiment. I was surprised that more characters didn't feel that way.
I wasn't. I thought that... I was trying to, you know, because, again, she was doing a lot, and I was trying to figure out exactly what they're trying to do with her character, and she just seemed like she had... you know, nowhere to go, nowhere to deal with this stuff. I guess I felt like if I was in that situation, I'd probably be completely cowed. I'd be shitting my pants and like, man, we need to straighten up and fly right.
Right.
The jury is now in. We are not the biggest badasses. We need to get our.
But they've got Enid and Gabriel and little baby ass kicker back there.
Right. Yeah, and we need to get them tending the barley
Just go
fields
mount
because
up.
that's our play. Just keep the barley coming, and we'll be fine. Keep the barley going, and we'll be fine. Oh boy! And they end on Rick's eyes, and I was looking for what was going on there. Was
look.
there defiance? Was there despair? Was there and was there? I was thinking that like at the end they might tighten up a bit to show that there hasn't all the fire gone out. But I thought that my final analysis after watching it a couple times is that this is just a beaten man.
Yeah, it really did feel like it. I don't think there was any defiance left.
All right. So that's the episode. Again, I thought it was the episode that they had to deliver, which is some kind of shows a little bit of improvement from the previous seasons. Is that a lot of times we've said that they've had to have a good episode at a particular time to really, keep disaster from happening, and a lot of times they haven't done it. I felt like they did deliver what they had to do based on the situation they put themselves in the previous season. Also, do we have any feedback about the foreshadowing that's gone on in the Glenn's death?
With the dumpster?
No, not the dumpster. With the fact that we've seen a lot of imagery of, him taking pictures and him wielding baseball bats and holding baseball bats and being menaced by baseball bats, like going back to the Terminus arc is when they first started doing this. And I thought that's, I got to give it to Gimple. I think that sometimes he's sloppy, sometimes he's unfocused, sometimes these plots are flabby. But I do think that despite everything, he has put just enough emotion and just enough planning into, like the gesture, like having Abraham do in the peace sign. Mm-hmm. Maybe they should have come up with something different that wouldn't have been as goofy or been more to his character. But that little callback was pretty effective and did that was one of the things that ramped up the emotion enough that they almost got a begrudging tear out of me. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not sure where I'm going with that other than I think that
it was definitely foreshadowed. I mean, for all the comic book fans who knew that that's how it goes down in the comics, that Glenn does in fact get the bat, it was definitely foreshadowed many a time. And I think we've talked about those in previous episodes when it has happened in the spoiler sections.
Right. The other thing about Maggie, and we're talking about Lauren Cohen and whether she's doing a good job. Is Maggie the most tortured individual at this point? She's seen her sister die, her brother die, her father die, her husband die, all before her very eyes, essentially.
Her mother die? I mean,
well, yeah,
wasn't her
going
mom
back
out in the
to
barn?
the Doodlebug days, sure.
Yeah, she's had it rough.
I mean, is there anyone that's lost more? Like, I feel like that maybe that's part of the, like, how do you play a character who has seen this much horror at this stage?
Well, I mean, Carl's seen a lot of horror, I suppose.
I mean, yeah, he's seen a lot of
directly
people die.
participated in horror. I mean, he had to cut the baby out of his mom.
So that's pretty bad.
That's pretty traumatic.
As he is.
Yeah.
But it was just his mom, and she was Lori Grimes, so.
True. Yeah, Maggie might be the most
I'm trying
tortured.
to think if in the Pain Olympics, if there's anybody with more gold medals than she has.
I don't think so.
Okay. Because that's the
she
other thing
takes
I
the
was
gold.
trying to grade on his curve is like, man, how the hell do you play? Like, I kind of from this point forward, of course, she's now, like, I guess going to have a baby, and then that kind of resets. But, like, if she loses this baby, I want to see her as a fucking Terminator. Mm-hmm. Like, there's nothing that can get to her.
Yeah, who's Sasha lost? Her brother, a couple friends.
A proto-love interest.
Yeah, not that much.
Yeah.
Gabriel lost his whole congregation, although
he
did it to himself.
He didn't lose it. He threw the congregation out. It's like you don't lose your car keys if you flush them down the toilet. You just made poor decisions.
He would say he lost them.
Yeah.
Certainly. Yeah, probably Maggie.
All right.
Can we talk about foreshadowing a little bit? Because there's
Please.
the hand chopping stuff going on in here. And we have long talked about how in the first season of the comic books, in very early on in the comic books, Rick gets his hand chopped off, and how Robert Kirkman has said that is the biggest mistake he made in the comics for that character. there was so much playing with that idea in this episode between, like, even when they just mention the hatchet at the beginning.
Oh, sure.
They're already starting in on it.
Fans were abuzz.
Right. There's all that he drags him to the RV, and you think, okay, maybe he's going to take his hand. He several times threatens to, and
I
then
kept
he
on
eventually
thinking
threatens
that, like,
Carl.
there's no fucking way. But yeah, continue.
Well, I was, even when he drew this fucking line on Carl's arm and it started counting down, I was like, there's no way they're going to do this, because I know that Kirkman didn't want to do this. And I was like 80% sure it wouldn't happen. And then it ultimately didn't happen.
Okay.
Do you think, I mean, how do you think that played as far as you're concerned?
I thought I was more 50-50 because I was going through my head the math of, like, okay, I don't think they do it with Rick because there's so much green screening involved, but Carl, who's a secondary character, I mean, I know he's one of the primary characters, and Kirkman has said that Walking Dead is really going to be, once I tell the entire story, you'll appreciate that this has been Carl's story, not Rick's story,
and that's solidified my stance.
But I was thinking, it's like, well, maybe you could do that with the green sock, and maybe he's like, you know, maybe he'll be like a John Connor stock, because, you know, of course, this is not just as me fan theorying. This is not like my certain knowledge, but maybe he intends him to be more of a John Connor, where his mind and leadership is what he's not as much of a physical badass and a madman as his father. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, I could see, I guess, where he. So I was processing all that, and then it turns out it didn't happen. But no, I thought it was actually brilliant that he did it. And plus, I also think the other wild card is I don't know that Kirkman and Gimple and Nicotero are, even though just because it's a bad idea doesn't mean they won't do it.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, somehow
Sure.
the fact that they tend to, like, they're the type of guys that would see the signs outside the airport that says, severe tire damage ahead, don't back over this strip, and be like, fuck it, reverse. You know, they kind of do that on this show.
Sometimes, yeah.
And, like, and maybe it's like because they've heard, like, Vince Gilligan say, oh, I like to paint this into a quarter and not know how to get out, and then that's our challenge for next season. They're like, oh, fuck it. Right. You know, we're going to do an extreme version of that, but they're just enough got that you fucking madmen aspect of their writing and the way they run the show that's the other thing meta that was going through my mind.
Okay, I could see that.
Is this a discussion we should have in the spoiler section, BT dubs?
I don't think so.
Okay, because I at this point I don't think they're ever going to cut Rick's arm off. Or any
no, I don't think they're going to cut an arm off, period, because, like, when they started to do Carl, it solidified it for me that they weren't going to cut his arm off because, like you said, Kirkman views Carl as the main character. I think Chandler Riggs probably has a longer life on this show than Andrew Lincoln does. I think if either of them are going to go, it's Andrew Lincoln first.
Yeah.
He's A, way more expensive,
sure,
and he's B, older.
Right.
And if he's not the main character of this story in the creator's eyes, why would he kill off what he views as the main character?
Yeah, but
so when they said cut off Carl's arm, I heard that, and I heard Kirkman saying that he's the main character. I heard Kirkman saying, I can't believe I cut Rick's hand off because that was a big mistake.
Right.
There's no way they're going to cut the main character's hand off.
And you're right.
And in perpetuity going forward,
you were
he's
right.
going to be disfigured.
You were right, but I for my part thought there's just enough of them just being madmen that might happen.
Yeah, it's possible.
Because I've definitely seen them make questionable decisions and with much less payoff too. That's the thing. Like, I've seen them do way bigger mistakes and missteps and handicaps than that with way less emotional devastation payoff too.
Right.
Do you think that I also couldn't help but think that maybe that was a glimmer of a chink in Negan's armor, the fact that he did pull the Abraham, the Old Testament Abraham, and didn't make Rick go through it.
I don't know. It's interesting because I think that gives Abraham leverage in the future. Because if he makes him cut Carl's arm off,
Negan,
yeah,
because you're now saying Abraham.
I said Abraham leverage?
Yeah, you did.
That gives Abraham a lot of Negan leverage in the future because he
But what's Isaac going to say?
He can always go back to that well, right? Like, It might have driven Rick over the edge. He might have just flipped.
Making him confront the reality and knowing that there's nothing, like, I've still got my foot on my boot on your throat, and this can happen at any time, and it can happen with Daryl, or it can happen with your son, or or worse yet, I can make your son cut pieces off of Daryl, or Daryl cut pieces off your son. Yeah. Like, I can do this at any time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it
gives him a little taste of what it could be to come if he doesn't listen.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
Whereas it might have just driven Rick right over the edge, and Rick jumps up, bites his throat out, and everyone's dead.
Right? Yeah, he just goes the nuclear option at that point.
Yeah. I don't know. Are we ready for feedback?
Yes.
So before we get to feedback, we have a new sponsor to talk about that I am personally pretty excited for. It's a company called HelloFresh, and if you're not familiar with HelloFresh, they're a company that wants to change the way that people eat forever, basically by delivering easy-to-cook, convenient meals that are great tasting and nutritious to your door. Keeps you from having